Morning, folks. Hope you have a cup of coffee and join me. Hey, what I want to talk to you today, I've broken it down. There are many things that I wish that I had known before I started out on this adventure with affiliate marketing. I wish that I had known the right people. I wish I'd asked the right questions. But it's like the old adage: if we could invest in hindsight, we'd all be rich. I'm hoping that you can get a jump start by hearing some of the issues and problems that I had and avoiding some of the same mistakes that I made. So I broke it down actually to 8 things. So it's 8 things that I wish I'd known when I first started affiliate marketing. For those of you who don't know me, hello, my name is Paul Bukowski. I'm with Online Business Pro Solutions. So I just want to get this out there right now. If you have any questions regarding this particular subject matter, or really anything regarding making money online, hit me up in the comments section. If there's something you want to know that I haven't covered, I'll figure it out. I'll put a little video together for you. If I get enough comments, I'll put a whole tutorial together. If not, I'll reach out to you individually and help you figure out whatever the problem is. If you want to continue to receive good quality information, reviews, tutorials, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. All right, let's jump right on into this. Okay, number 1. I wish I had been more serious. Got a quote here from an Irish playwright and political activist named George Bernard Shaw. And he says that nothing is worth doing unless the consequences may be serious. And to take that a little, or maybe a step further, it seems like with almost everything in life, we get more motivated when we have something to lose, even more so than when we have something to gain. Because in all seriousness, this business, working online, the sky is absolutely the limit if you take it seriously. The potential gains are virtually unlimited if you take it seriously. But most people don't. I think it sounds too easy. Too many people make it sound easy. This whole push button, 3 clicks of a mouse, get rich quick scheme concept, it's been out there forever. They used to use the same concept in direct mail marketing. Now they've just segued into the virtual world. But the scam is still the scam. The reality is, if it's worth having, you're going to have to put some effort in. On the other hand, you have very little capital investment. And I think that actually may be another reason why people don't take it seriously. They don't have much of an investment. Just whatever little bit of time they put in, but not much money. So because they have nothing to lose, or seemingly nothing to lose, they just don't seriously get behind the effort. Okay, and I'm as guilty as anyone else. What you have to realize is this is a legitimate business. This is not a treasure hunt. And for those of you who may be professional treasure hunters, I apologize. I do understand there is a business of treasure hunting and salvaging. I'm talking more about chasing leprechauns and finding a pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. Okay? So, because you need to treat this like a legitimate business, there are several things you really absolutely have to do and need to do. You have to develop some type of a business plan. In reality, it should be a full-fledged business plan like you would take to a bank or an investment group to try to get loans to get your business off the ground. But if just to get started, you need at least a simple plan. And then as you grow, you should start to develop a larger plan as you learn, because it encompasses many other plans. A business plan encompasses marketing plans, your strategies. There's content plans. There's how you advertise, yada, yada, yada. It goes on and on. I'll get into all these subjects. I'll break down on tutorials and other videos. I just want to go over the basics very quickly. You need to set up a distraction-free workplace or workspace, and you also need to find some distraction-free time. Not everyone has the luxury of setting up a home office per se, or having office space. All you need is a tiny corner somewhere out of the way. It can be a corner in the bedroom. It could be, some people have they work at their dining room table. As long as everybody else is out of the room, off doing their own thing, you have to find some quiet time. You need to turn the phones off, the TVs off, everything else, to give yourself some time. I'm one of those strange people. I don't sleep much. I get up, I usually start working at 2 in the morning. Normally, by the time everybody else in the world is getting up and ready to go to work, I've already got most of my business day done as far as online business. All right. When you set up plans, you have work to do. The plans only take place, and you only take culmination if you actually do all the work that's necessary. So you need to break those plans down into goals. But those goals can be overwhelming. So you need to break those goals down into tasks. Okay, so you need to set monthly goals, weekly goals, daily goals, and each of those goals gets broken down into small, bite-sized, digestible, easy to work out tasks. Okay? You have to remember, this is not a set it and forget it business. There are some mechanisms that you will use, such as autoresponders, that have the appearance of set it and forget it. But once you start using them, you'll understand that there is a lot more to them. You have to administer them. You have to update them, upgrade them. Your funnels will change. The people that you're reaching out to, the lists, their wants, their needs may change. So, of course, a lot of the content and materials in your autoresponders is going to change. So there is no true set it and forget it aspect to this business. It is simpler in many ways. Through these mechanisms, you can reach so many more people so much more easily than picking up the phone or handwriting letters or individual emails and things like that. They make it easier, but it is not a push button, 3 clicks of a mouse business. And last but not least, engage. That's another thing that was very difficult for me. I tend to be somewhat aloof. The name of my company is Lone Wolf Enterprises. It gives you an idea of my basic mentality. You have to engage. This is all about people, and we're going to be talking about this more, but people keep talking about lists, and those lists are people, living, bleeding, breathing people. They have questions, they have problems. You're there to help solve their problems, answer their questions. You can't do that if you don't engage. All right, let's jump on ahead. All right, number 2, I wish that I'd been more patient. For serious, now I wish I'd been more patient. And there's an American history literature critic. Her name is Barbara Johnson. I like this little line here. She says, patience is the ability to idle your motor when you feel like stripping your gears. And how true that is. Once again, in this business, we get so impatient. I think just in general, our society has become more in tune with the concept of instant gratification. I need it now, have to have it now. Everybody's in a hurry to go nowhere fast. And the image people have of online businesses is that they can make money immediately, super fast, lots of money, overnight. You got to slow your roll on that because it's not going to happen. Okay, so don't fall prey to get rich quick schemes. Okay, that old adage, if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. That's the case. The only people that are getting rich off of get rich quick schemes are the people who are selling them. Okay, you have to expect, and that's with hard, constant work, due diligence, putting your time in, paying your dues, 6 months to more than likely at least a year for any consistent results. Now, it may vary depending on if you're putting out 50 videos a week, odds are things are going to move a little more quickly for you. But if you have another job and you're just doing this as a sideline, and it, you might only get, say, 1 or 2 videos a week at best. It's going to take a while, but just stick with it. Just stick with it. You'll get better. It'll get easier. And the more content you put out there, the more prolific your channel is, you'll start getting leads. You'll start getting people coming to you. And the more you learn, the more confidence you gain, the more of an expert you become. Okay, so once again, it goes back to this plan. You need to strategically step your way to success. Okay? And get excited with the small wins. Don't keep looking for, like I said earlier, that pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. Get excited about the small wins. I mean, I get excited just when it's one take on a video. I'm like, yes, bring out the champagne. So enjoy the trip, enjoy the journey, and that's the next step there. I work a lot with human growth and development, and a lot of times people have destinations in mind and goals in mind. I'm going to take a little bit of time here and tell you, when I was a young man in high school, I ran cross country, and I was a natural. I don't like to run. All the sports that I was good at, I really never enjoyed, but I was just a natural. It came too easy for me. I didn't have to practice. I was not a team player. I'd cut the course. I'd cut practices. And my coaches weren't happy, but they had to run me because I was the best runner on the team. And what was worse was I went to a very small school, but my times were consistent with the students in the larger schools. So I was sort of out of the big fish in a small pond kind of situation. And at the end of a race, which, I mean, I'm not tooting my horn, it was almost inevitable that I would win. At the end of a race, there's that fleeting 15, 30 seconds when you're coming down to the finish line and people are cheering and everybody's excited and your heart's racing and you're feeling like a hero. And after the race, about 2 minutes or so after the race, people be coming up to me, we're going to have a party later, come on over, and this and that was great. And they would generally notice that I was almost depressed, just real quiet and like, yeah, whatever. And, they would ask me, you just won. You should be elated. You're the hero. Because it was over. And it was like, now what? So what now? Another race? So it's not always the finish line. It's not always the destination. It's the race itself. It's the thrill, the rush, the enjoyment along the way. Enjoy that journey. So be patient. Now, I have to put a disclaimer in here. Don't be passive. Okay, it means don't be inactive. But be patient and learn. And keep working it. Keep working it. Keep working it. It's sort of like I shouldn't bring this out, I guess, but the AA programmers, they say keep working the program, keep working the program. That's the only thing that'll make things, right. And that's the case here too. You find a formula, you have a business plan, keep working it, be patient, okay? Everything else that you want will come as long as you put in your time, do the work, okay? And not try and rush things. All right. I wish that I had sought out better advice. Now, Wilson Miznar was an American playwright. He wrote that to profit from good advice requires more wisdom than to give it. And that's quite true. It's easy to give advice. We all are pretty fast to give advice, sometimes on subjects we don't know anything about, but we've got an opinion. That's for doggone sure. Being humble enough to listen, being humble enough to accept advice. So often we see it as critique, as a criticism of who we are, what we know. And it's more difficult. And the other thing is when you delve into something new, it's hard to know who to trust. And that's extremely true when it comes to making money online. There are so many carpetbaggers out there, it is scary. So you have to be very careful that you don't pick the Pied Piper. Okay, you've got to pick the right individual and or groups of individuals to deal with. Find someone that you can trust and latch onto them. Okay. The first and foremost, I think, is you need to find someone who's honest. Even if it's, I call it tough love, even if it's telling you things you don't want to hear. And that's sort of my tagline. I'm not always going to tell you what you want to hear, but I will always tell you what you need to hear. And that's critical. That's the only way you're going to get ahead in life, so you need to have someone that you can trust that way. And they are few and far between. Okay, and once you find them, if there's any chance, if they're more than willing to let you stick with them, stick with them. Okay, so do your due diligence vetting experts. Do some serious research. Of course, you're going to use online, and you have to understand that online is not the end all. But you can go to LinkedIn, you can look them up on there. You can look at their websites. You can check a lot of the comments out. Of course, sometimes they'll clean a lot of those out. You can go to their Facebook groups. You can also, how do I word this properly? You are judged by the company that you keep. So if you already know of some people that are scammers, a little on the sketchy side, and they're friends with this individual that you're thinking of following and having them coach you, be very careful at that point. Because if they're hanging out with people like that, that means they're basically saying what they do is okay. And it's not okay. I won't work with anybody that scams. They're cut off. They're unfriended. They're banished into some other realm of cyberspace. Also got to remember, those who speak the loudest often know the least. These people out there, they're quote-unquote Ferraris and fancy homes and that. I guarantee you the majority of them are living hand to mouth. And when I say that, yes, they may have those cars today, but I guarantee you Knuckles and Associates are getting ready to knock on their door and repo that Ferrari. They develop a list, and instead of nurturing it and working with it and helping those people, they basically sell them a bunch of shiny baubles that are worthless, and then they forget about that list and they generate a whole new one. They take the same product, they spin it, put a little angle on it, make it sound a little different, and they get a whole nother list of, I hate to say the word, but sheep, and they start all over again. That's a terrible way of doing business. It can't, I just don't see how it can be satisfying myself. But then again, I don't do that. Once you find someone who you want to work with, that you like to work with, that has agreed to work with you, listen to what they have to say. And to make sure you understand what they're saying, acknowledge it, repeat it back. I can't tell you how many times I've talked to people and I sort of see a dead look behind their eyes. and I said, do you understand what I'm saying? And they go, huh? And then I'll say, well, so what did I just say? And they'll just look at me like a deer in the headlights. And I said, okay, I'll go through it again, and then I'll have it repeated back to me. So I sort of know now that they get it, that they get what I'm talking about. So listen to what the experts that you've chosen and properly vetted have to say, acknowledge and make sure you thoroughly understand the message that they're conveying, but then act on it. You have to act on it. Don't just go, and then cool, move on to the next thing. Act on it. And this, I'm stealing this from my mentor, Philip Borrowman. This is one of his favorites, and hopefully you'll eventually come on board with us and you'll get to know him and you'll get to hear this yourself. He'll always say, what is the magic word? And the magic word is okay. It's like, don't argue. There's a reason you chose a mentor. There's a reason you came to someone for advice, because you didn't know what you were doing. You were having problems making all the pieces of the puzzle fit together. So listen to them, acknowledge them, and say okay, and then act on it. Then do what they say. Don't change it. Don't fight it. Just do it. And down the road, once your business is up and you want to maybe try a few other things out, that's fine. But in order to get established, in order to build a foundation, it's so much easier to follow in the footsteps of someone who's already blazed the trail than it is to try and blaze new trails yourself. It's so easy to get lost. Okay, so let's hit the next subject. Number 4, I wish that I had been less independent. Now, this lady, she's actually was an astronaut in Canada, and I am going to read this because I want to get it right. She is actually the Governor General of Canada now. And she wrote that, I'm a true believer in the strength of teamwork, in the power of dreams, and in the absolute necessity of a support structure. I told you earlier, the name of my business is Lone Wolf Enterprises, and I always have been somewhat aloof, and I've always tried to do things, my way. But I've been willing to sacrifice a lot. I've had a lot of failures. I've made up for it with a lot of success, but you do learn from your mistakes, no doubt. But our whole world is different now. I'm getting ready to launch a series of books. It's a contemporary blueprint for self-actualization called the Peace Paradigm. And I don't know how many of you, this isn't really a subject that you might be interested in, but people that self-actualize are people who reach to attain and fulfill their highest potential. And when this whole concept came out, the people who supposedly were self-actualized tended to be aloof, tended to stand away from the crowd, tended to be the sitting on the mountaintop contemplating your navel kind of people. That's all changed. The world has changed. You just can't get ahead anymore if you don't engage. Networking is everything. And a lot of it is because of media. It's because of the virtual world, social media. There is strength in numbers. Okay? So let's if I do this. Okay, well, my question to you is, how well do you play with others? Okay. The tribe mentality works very well with affiliate marketing. The key is, just like finding a good coach, it's finding a good tribe. Now, a lot of times those go hand in hand. When I first met Philip Borrowman and decided to come on board with him, he had a couple groups. There's people that work with the Taking Action Online members and Facebook, and then there's I call it our band of merry men and merry women, the digital nomads. I met those people, and I mean, you don't really have a choice, to be honest with you. I mean, you're working with him, so you become part of this group. And I'm the first to admit, I am not the greatest at social media. It's just not really my thing. I get busy, and it's like when there's time to talk, I want to talk. I want to look at you. I want to speak with you. But this constant texting and that, it drives me sort of batty. But wow, this group really opened my eyes. Both groups, well, all the people that come on board with Philip, because they're all like-minded. We have the same values, and when it comes to business, they've got great senses of humor. And even though we're all coming from different places in our lives, we're sort of starting at the same spot when it comes to this line of work. And it really helps. So lone wolves, they often find themselves on the outside looking in at successful collaborators. What you get with a group, you get a great sense of community and belonging. And it provides comfort, it provides strength, and it can provide inspiration. I highly recommend hooking up with a solid network of like-minded individuals. All right, I wish I hadn't fallen prey to the paralyzing peas. And this gentleman actually was a professional football player. He played for the Boston Bulldogs back in 1929. This is going back in time. So even before my time. There are plenty of difficult obstacles in your path. Don't allow yourself to become one of them. And there are a lot of things that can stop you dead in your tracks. I have two that I have to be constantly vigilant about. I call them the paralyzing peas. Procrastination and perfectionism. Now, technically, procrastination can be just as simple as plain outright laziness. But generally, generally we procrastinate because we have a sense of being overwhelmed. If something just looks too monumental to break through or to handle, we tend to just shut down. And it's like, I'll worry about that tomorrow. Okay, so I talked earlier about business plans and goals and tasks. And that's the thing. You need to break your goals down, these overwhelming goals, break them down into small and simple tasks. And once you've completed a task, reward yourself, for each little mini success. Get a scoop of ice cream, go take your dog to the park and chill for a little bit, whatever. Give yourself little mini breaks and give yourself little mini pats on the back for those mini successes, okay? Now, perfectionism is another. You just edit, re-edit, edit, re-edit. I mean, it's a vicious cycle. It's never good enough, never good enough, never good enough. Well, nothing ever is. Now, and I'm not a psychologist, so please don't take this personally, but perfectionism is often an indication of low self-esteem. And I do it all the time. That's been a big problem for me all through my life, and even now. There's times when I just refuse to put it out there because I'm afraid of what other people think. I'm afraid it's not going to cut the mustard. It's not good enough. Never good enough. And now it can sometimes be a little bit of OCD, because I do have a little bit of that. But generally speaking, it's just that unwillingness to, you might stick your toe in the water, but you're just not going to jump in, you know. So my suggestion to you is, like I mentioned earlier, find a tribe, find a group of like-minded individuals that you can share your ideas with. When you write an article, when you put a video together, you can share with them first. Okay, take baby steps, share it with them, and they may offer constructive criticism, but it's going to be out of love. It's going to be out of concern. It's going to help you. And then, yeah, you can tweak some things and that, but it can help you start to loosen up that rigid control, and it can help you start to gain some confidence. And once they give you the thumbs up, cut it loose, put it out there, send it into cyberspace. You do that often enough, after a while, that both procrastination and perfectionism always lurk in the background, but believe me, you'll be able to control those two things. Okay. All right, number 6. I wish I hadn't been so good at making excuses. William Arthur Ward was an American author and poet, and he wrote that it is wise to direct your anger towards problems, not people, to focus your energy on answers, not excuses. I already told you that I work with a lot of people regarding helping them attain self-actualization and working their way toward their goals. Let me see if I can jump into this next one here. And one of the big things, this may not make a whole lot of sense at first, but don't live a life not realized. Quit making excuses. And we all do it to some extent. Some people just more than others. But I'll ask people when they come to me for help regarding that other part of my life, what is it you want out of life? Now that answer is going to vary from person to person. It can vary within the same person over a period of time. When you're younger, what you want out of life is different than when you're older. So that's a question you need to ask yourself rather frequently in life. But once the people have given me some sort of an answer, I'll ask them, well, then why don't you have it? Well, that's a tough question, but invariably, and if you ask yourself the same thing, be honest with yourself regarding your answers. And I'll bet you 9 out of 10 people, the answers are really going to be a bunch of excuses. Well, I haven't had time because I have a family, and, it's like, well, I didn't get much of a chance because the way I was raised, or, that COVID just stopped everything in its tracks, and the government, they're cracking down on this and that, and there's always an excuse. Okay? Only you have absolute control over your happiness, your peace of mind, what you want out of life, what you get out of life. You have the power of choice. It's all about choices. You have to force yourself to be accountable for your actions and for the consequences of those actions. Now, and when it comes to this kind of business, there's always an excuse. I have time. I've got a full-time job. Blah, 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 blah. I don't know how to write. I don't have that much of an education. And I'll guarantee you, you can go out there and you can find people that are successful in this business that meet all of those. They've got full-time jobs, never graduated high school, can barely read and write, and they're still making crazy money online. So quit making excuses. Okay? Find solutions. Okay? Now, It goes beyond dreams and it goes beyond positive thinking, though. That's one thing I'm not real big on, people, about the stress for success stuff. Um, there's nothing wrong with dreams and there's nothing wrong with positive thinking. But in order for those dreams to come true, you have to break out of that cycle of positive thinking and you have to take positive action. So not only do you go from excuses to firm, positive choices, you have to take those choices and you have to put them into action. You have to take action on the decisions that you make. Okay? All right. I wish that I had made more strategic investments. You've probably heard of Dave Ramsey. I know he's got a show on, I think, Fox News. I honestly don't know how good his financial advice is. I don't really follow him per se. I just like this quote. A budget is telling your money where to go instead of wondering where it went. And I think we can all relate to that a time or two. Okay. Especially when you first get into this business, because of all the get rich quick schemes, because we're impatient and we're not taking it seriously, we keep looking for people to sell us that. We're hoping to find that pot of gold. So we're literally looking for someone to tell us what we want to hear. For $9.99, for $17, for $9, blah, blah, blah. This is what you need. This is your ticket to financial freedom. You got to break out of that cycle too. You have to. They're getting rich. You will not. Stop buying shiny objects. Don't fall for the get rich quick schemes. Don't shop based on emotions. Use some logic. Use some reasoning. Okay? Go back to that seriousness and patience section that I talked about. Now, my recommendation to you when you first start is purchase only the bare necessities to get your business off the ground. And when you start working like with a group, like when I came into the digital nomads, some of them were a lot further along than I was. And so, good Lord, they had all kinds of fancy tools and toys, and their skill levels were through the roof. And I got to admit, at first, two things. One, you're a little envious, you know. Two, you feel like maybe you don't fit, you know, like, wow, you know, I'm subpar. You know what? They started the same place you're going to start. They dealt with the same issues, same problems. They've just been putting their time in. They've paid their dues. So don't worry about at what point they are and what tools they have and that they're using. Use the bare bones. I highly recommend you don't just use all free stuff, because there's usually catches with free stuff, and it can look extremely unprofessional. But there are always beginner level prices on almost every tool that you'll need to get this business off the ground. I would start there, and start with a shoestring budget, and then upgrade when you start to have positive cash flow, so that you can reinvest in your business and scale up. Don't worry about pretty. Everybody's the fluff. Even when it comes to putting out your videos, you don't want it to be crass and absolutely crap, and they can't hear you. They don't understand what you're saying. The pictures look like something out of Picasso. They don't understand. It's barely legible. No, that's not what I'm talking about. But having all the bells and whistles and the flash and the well, I hate pop-ups. I don't use pop-ups, but just all the little toys, that animations and things like that people use to try and show how professional they are, how good they are. A lot of times that's to cover up the fact that they don't know what they're talking about. It's that shock and awe kind of mentality. People aren't seeking fluff. They're searching for answers, and they're searching for solutions. So focus your energy and your time on answering their questions, and solving their problems. All right, last but not least, I wish I had truly understood the value of the list. Seth Godin, you've probably seen his picture out there. He's sort of one of the .com kids. Well, he's a kid to me, probably not to you. Entrepreneur, businessman, author. Made a lot of money in the .com world. He says, don't find customers for your products. Find products for your customers. Okay. You will hear it time and time again. Everybody talks about the list, the list, the list. And the list is the lifeblood of affiliate marketing and really any marketing endeavor. What you have to remember is that list, and I'd mentioned it earlier, is people. It's not sheep. It's not inanimate objects. It's living, breathing people with needs, with problems, with questions. They're not there just so you can gouge them. They're not like cattle that you're milking, every day just to take care of yourself and then no concern for them. From a strictly business standpoint, also, there is a cost to acquire a customer. And smart business people know exactly what it costs for them to acquire one customer. It is much cheaper to keep a customer and continue to work with that customer and evolve the relationship and make more and more money from that one customer than it is to acquire new customers. The cost of acquiring a customer can be extremely expensive. Keeping that customer costs very little. Okay, that part is your effort, your engagement. Okay, and those are the people that will, over time, as your value to them increases, the value of your products, it means more and more and more to them, the higher ticket products then can be sold. You're not going to sell those high ticket products to somebody that doesn't even have a clue who you are. And there's a lot of people out there trying to convince you of that, and that's just wrong. That doesn't happen very often. So understand, once again, these are people. These are people that you want to embrace and cultivate as like part of, you almost want them to become part of your family, so to speak. And you would never sell anything to a family member that you didn't think was good for them. So that's the way you want to run your business. Grow your list ethically, and understand it's not the size of the list, it's the quality of the list itself. Absolutely provide an abundance of value. Okay, and be authentic. Engage with your list. Tell the truth. Be honest with them. You may have a product that isn't good for everybody, so don't recommend it to everybody. Recommend it to those that it will help. And if somebody comes to you and they say, hey, I saw this, I want to buy this, what do you think? Say, I know your situation, and truthfully, this isn't going to help you. If you want recommendations for something else, I'll give them to you, but right now I think you're doing good just the way you are. That is how you deal with your list. That's the right way. Okay? And always follow up with answers and solutions. All right. This quote's from Richie Ashburn. He was a professional baseball player, a center fielder for the Phillies. He was a member of the Whiz Kids. They won the national championship back in the 1950s. He says that I wish I'd known early what I had to learn late. That really sort of sums it all up. I'm hoping that some of the mistakes that I made, some of the things that I wish now I had done when I first started out, I'd be light years ahead if I had listened to me before. I hope you can learn from my mistakes. I hope something that I said here today affects you in a positive way, in a way that helps you move forward more quickly, and put you on a better path toward your success. So I hope to see you on my next video. Once again, I am Paul with Online Business Pro Solutions. And if you have any questions, like I said before, hit me up in the comment section below. I'd love to hear from you. You want more quality info, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. Keep following me. I am going to put more and more and more videos out. Now, if you're on the outside looking in and you're looking right now for a profitable, honest, and a simple online business, I tell you, do yourself a big flavor. Do yourself a big favor and click the link below. I'll give you an opportunity to meet Philip Borelman. He is my mentor, and he has a program called the Simple Traffic Blueprint. It is crazy value for like a ridiculously small investment. But if you want the blueprint, if you want a basic business plan to get started with right from the get-go, that's the way to go. You can take your time, you can listen to my videos over the next several months and put your business together in a patchwork way, or you can find something like this that's already put together for you. All you have to do is say, okay, follow the steps, and I'm telling you, you'll be well on your way to success. So, folks, I've taken up enough of your time. Thank you very much. I hope to see you next time. Cheers.